This is Greg. Greg makes videos on YouTube, and whenever Greg gets mad, he makes extremely annoying videos. Why is Greg mad, and why did he make that annoying video, you may ask? Well, Greg wrote a book back in 2015 called Stones to Abbigale, which apparently was quite the hoot. A YouTuber by the name of Strange ÄONS made a video criticizing said book, and well, it made Greg a little angry.
My baba got poopy and I don't know what to do but itch!
You know what I like to do here on my channel, so with that being said, let's get into the video.
Hey guys, my computer's having trouble booting, so I just wanted to do a quick intro with my less awesome mic. So a while ago, a girl reviewed my book. Anyway, last video you guys said that all I did was made fun of her eyebrows, which is not true, because I actually made a lot of points, and the only thing people could focus on was me commenting on her eyebrows, it seemed.
The entire video that you made was basically you shitting on her looks. I feel like if Onision is trying to pass it off like he made a lot of points, he didn't. If there were points, there's like maybe one or two. Onision now has basically realized that his last video wasn't taken seriously because he didn't actually have any valid arguments to make. He just commented on her looks, and that's not me being crazy and only focusing on one little part of the video. No, that's just me reacting to his first video. Like, it was about her looks.
So this time around, despite the fact that I put, a good amount of effort in the last video and whatnot, it seems like the only thing I can do is really just, say this is wrong or whatever and prove it or otherwise supply information that makes it very evident that it is wrong. I'd also like to demonstrate how this person's behavior actually is. A lot of people also said that, it's just a book review, get over it, that kind of thing. But we're talking about a person who knew they were going to hate the book before they even read it. That's what's kind of funny. It's like there's people who probably don't like it even though they like me. That's out there, that exists. But the fact that, this person had made multiple hate videos on me before and then went and bought my book and then said she read the whole book. So that led me to believe that this person might be a little bit wired strangely as far as their brain goes.
But another thing that's also out there and also exists are people who don't like you, who can give your book a fair chance and just say that it was trash. I feel like Greg might have gotten really defensive and not taken into account that people can just actually review his book regardless of the opinion that they have on him. And it's not going to always 100% be just bias. Like, I can give credit where credit is due, and I think other people can as well.
And then comes the shower scene, which is just weird. Abby just really wants them to have a conversation while she's in the shower. I get that when you're in a relationship, the boundaries break down a lot, but she's so deliberate about it. She's like, this needs to happen. Okay, dude, I'm gonna get naked, I'm gonna get in the shower, and you're gonna sit in the bathroom and we're gonna have a conversation. Like, okay, come in now, I'm ready, I'm in a towel, let's have this weird conversation while I'm in the shower. This situation does not evolve naturally. Apparently, she can't talk to him if she's not in the shower. It needs to happen this way so that she can dramatically burst out naked and be like, look at my body, covered in self-harm scars, I'm so broken. But most importantly, there's a naked girl in front of Greg.
I feel like not only is she, shaming people with certain personalities, but she's implying that the relationship moved too fast. And if she's doing that, then she's just straight up slut shaming.
So there is a really common trope within fanfiction and other stories where person X is so broken and self-harms, and person Y comes into their life and sweeps them off their feet and saves them, and it's really romanticized and gross. I think this criticism is less so her attacking Onision like he would think, or attacking, another person's personality or another person's personal issues with mental health. I think her criticisms more so lie in the fact that he used that trope and that he did romanticize self-harm.
Davis is still super jealous and uncomfortable around Abby because Greg is just so great and she's taking all of his time, I guess. Davis has this really, really painful to read, just completely unfunny, childish humor, which is Greg's sense of humor.
No, it's not actually. Davis was written as a friend I had who died. So what you're doing essentially is making fun of my friend who died when you say that Davis has shitty humor, essentially is what you're saying.
Are you kidding me? She said that the way you wrote a character was unfunny and painful to read. That's what she said. That is the best you could come up with? You know that she's not talking about your friend. You know that. Her saying she doesn't like the way that you wrote a character, even if he is modeled after your friend, who gives a fuck? She's saying she doesn't like the character, not that she doesn't like your friend.
But yeah, those jokes, like a lot of those, that general goofy humor, that's of my friend who died. His name was Jad, and he died of a blood disorder when he was a missionary. He was in Brazil, I think, when he actually passed away, but initially he was a missionary in Japan. So I don't really appreciate you making fun of Davis.
She's not disrespecting your friend. How is she supposed to know that that character was written after your friend anyways? Sometimes you just don't like people's humor. And whether or not that person is dead does not change anything.
So that's why the guidance counselor hates her so much. This girl's life is just trauma bingo. I'm not trying to trivialize any of these issues. I'm just saying they sound ridiculous coming from a 30-year-old man for the sake of feeding his own dramatic savior fantasy.
What? Okay, so you're drawing conclusions on your own. You think that I have this savior fantasy, and I mean, I think I was 29 when the book was written, maybe 30. But I feel like that's kind of I think it's straw man when you distract from the actual topic.
So Greg starts talking about logical fallacies in a second. He's referencing straw man right now, and that's kind of what made me want to make this video, because I took logic and I genuinely do feel like, I could be wrong, but partly the reason why Onision is going so hard into logical fallacies right now is because I fucking schooled the guy whenever it came to his arguments against Ready to Glare. That was like one of my first ever videos that I posted, and I was just kind of going through how his arguments are so flawed, and he calls himself very logical. So I genuinely think that if it weren't for me, he wouldn't be going on this little tirade right now, but you never know. Let's get into some logic, shall we? Straw man is basically whenever you take a piece of someone's argument and then you pretend like that smaller, weaker piece is their real argument. That way you can easily defeat the other and, you know, winner, winner, chicken dinner, whatever. In order for her to be using straw man, he would have had to have made a claim or an argument that she would have had to have come back with and been like, that's not what she's doing. She's just giving us an opinion, and she's backing it up with things that she's learned from Greg and his books and his channel. So that was that for the straw man reference, but let's get into the rest of this logical party that we're about to throw.
And there's numerous other logical fallacies in what you do, like by belittling the other person and so forth. I took part in logical fallacies in my first video about this. And that was because it was on Bro was trying to be funny, and a lot of people didn't get the joke. So I've decided to not take part in logical fallacies anymore. But when you're reviewing a book and you want to be taken seriously, apparently you can just pick someone who everyone hates and you'll be fine no matter what you say. But typically you shouldn't, try to be ageist or whatever and degrade someone like that.
John Green is 41 years old, and he's been writing books like The Fault in Our Stars, Looking for Alaska, Turtles All the Way Down, Paper Towns, An Abundance of Catherines. He writes young adult fiction, and I don't think that's weird. I think that John Green is a respectable author. Obviously, it's not objectively a bad thing for an older man to be writing about younger people, but in this case, She is saying that her opinion is that it's a little weird that you were 29 and you were writing this. This isn't an argument. Again, this is an opinion, and I don't think that Onision knows how to separate the two.
She has no personality beyond being the damsel in distress, and Greg doesn't give a shit about any of these issues.
I don't know. I felt like she had a lot more to her than that, because I actually based these stories off people I knew in real life. So I want you to understand that when you're insulting Abby, you're insulting multiple people I knew in real life. You're literally belittling rape victims. You're belittling self-harmers. You're belittling human beings that I encountered and that were very real. So for you to say they have no personality and they're just damsels, you're attacking a bunch of innocent people. And of course, this is what I don't understand, ÆONS. If you knew that my mom was in the story, and you knew that my sister was in the story, why would you go so far as to start insulting Davis, who obviously could also be real, and Abby, who could also be real? So like every time you insult a character, you insult a real person, a real innocent person who literally has nothing to do with you.
The argument that Greg is making here, that Strange ÆONS is attacking a friend when she's really attacking a character in one of his books, is actually a straw man.
The moral of this story is just no matter how shitty your life is, just get into a relationship.
So, Romeo and Juliet, I feel like you would probably shit on that too.
Oh my god. Did he just say Romeo and Juliet? Like he's about to compare what he wrote to Romeo and Juliet? Please. Can somebody tell me he's lying?
Passion is a really important thing in relationships. It's a beautiful thing, and I feel like it's really tragic that you don't understand that basic concept. Let's continue.
To worry about ever. Jason is still groping Abby in class, and so Greg takes it upon himself to deal with her problems yet again. And he goes to the guidance counselor, and this woman is like, no.
Okay. Do you have a problem with masculinity? Because you're a lesbian.
And him pointing out that she's a lesbian proves what? Exactly. Because as far as sexuality and opinions on masculinity go, there's no correlation.
But what is wrong with masculinity? Are you one of those, like, social justice warriors? I mean, you're very active on Tumblr. I saw your post come up as suggested.
I don't ever want to hear Greg talking about SJWs ever again. It's literally the pot calling the kettle black. If anything, he's the SJW.
Greg decides that the solution is that he has to confront Jason himself. He manages to single-handedly take on 4 jocks, which I feel so stupid saying the word jock, because that's just not a word that people use unironically, you know what I mean?
Yeah, again, you're basing your own experiences on this statement and not actually thinking that there's a world outside you. There are plenty of people who use the word jock unironically. And just saying unironically reeks of the hipster Tumblr person that you are.
So, you see how Greg is making fun of her for being like this stereotypical hipster Tumblr girl? I mean, that's essentially kind of what she's doing, except she's actually talking about characters. And he's actually talking about a real-life person.
The whole I'm distraught because my friend is dead passage also just sounds like a lizard person trying to emulate emotions. It's not.
So my friend really did die. And I really did cry when I found out. She says I'm like a lizard person trying to emulate emotions while actively talking about my friend who died like he's just a bad character I wrote.
Okay, here's something that I think a lot of people don't know how to separate. I think that whenever you tell someone that they are coming across really cold or really robotic or like a lizard person in this situation, it's not the same as saying someone does not feel emotional. There's a difference between telling someone they don't necessarily portray emotions in the way that you would usually expect someone to portray them rather than just saying that they don't feel.
Greg and Abby are walking down the hall and they see the guidance counselor and some police officers, and they take Abby to the guidance counselor's office. So the issue is that she was dating the school shooter, right? And she wrote some letters that potentially could have inspired him to do it. So they're questioning her about that, and then they decide she's innocent. and the guidance counselor is very disappointed that she's innocent. But then they get back to Greg's place and Abby's like, but I'm not innocent! Because apparently she wrote that she wanted everyone to disappear in a letter to Seth when they were dating, and which is not even close to telling him to shoot up a school or even implying it. But
in what way is wanting everyone to disappear and wanting them to physically cease to exist in their normal form not comparable?
Did this man, like, just say that? Saying that you want everyone to disappear is not the same thing as saying you want everyone to get shot up. I think you would have to be a legitimate crazy person in order to get the two mixed up. And, like, maybe that's what he was going for, but him saying that right there is really concerning. If the character that shot up the school thought that way, cool. But if you were an actual living human being and you think that way, that someone saying, oh, I just wish everyone would disappear, is comparable to saying, I want them to be shot up.
Stop it. Get some help.
Like, if somebody says, what do you want? And they say, I want you to disappear from my life or from whatever, and they kill themselves, that would be a direct, oh my God, that was the last thing you said to them, and that's why they did it.
Okay, now I'm a little mad. You cannot blame yourself for something another person does, especially if they do something to that caliber. For people that have gone through things like that, to where someone in their family or a friend of theirs committed suicide, and you did not leave off on the best terms with them, that's not your fault. That's not your fault. That's never your fault. Telling someone that you wish they would disappear out of your life and then they go and kill themselves, that's not your fault. That is, honestly, that's really fucking disgusting that he would say that. I never thought that I'd actually, like, get triggered by something Greg said, but that triggered me. That was, like, really fucked up. That's really fucked up. That's really fucked up.
You see how painfully obvious that is? I'm surprised that you didn't make that. No, I'm not. I'm not surprised you didn't make that connection. So you're digging your own hole and you don't realize it, but this is the kind of thing that previews or warns of greater cracks in your mind, and it will catch up with you because you have so many logical fallacies going here. You have so many clear issues with utilizing common sense that you're bound to have more issues in the future with these significant brain issues that you're displaying.
He keeps saying throughout this video, she has significant brain issues. Trigger warning, if you don't like the R word, skip ahead like 5 seconds. Calling someone stupid, calling someone retarded, saying that someone has serious brain issues, it's all the same thing. But he's trying to say it in the most SJW PC way. It's all the same argument, and it's not a good one. And this is where I'm going to stop the video because we've basically reached the end of it. And I just kind of wanted to leave off on this note, but one of the reasons why Onision gets shit on so much is because he fails to recognize other people's perspectives whenever it comes to anything. And he does take a lot of things personally, and whenever he responds to those things, he responds out of impulse and out of pure hurt. The fact of the matter is that Onision is an easy target, yes, and he only deserves this type of criticism if he's done something to actually really criticize, and I feel like it shouldn't be unwarranted, like kind of like making this video about his book 3 years after he made it. It seems kind of like, why? I feel like at the end of the day, people should be able to criticize what and who they want to criticize, and sometimes that criticism just isn't tasteful. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Reagan, and I will catch you guys on the next video.